into so-called racial categories are extremely superficial, very arbitrary, and not even necessarily concordant, meaning the presence of one trait doesn't necessarily indicate the presence of other traits. Furthermore, conceptions of race are not fixed over time or across cultures. So, for instance, in the United States today, we often think in terms of there being a white race, but there was absolutely no concept of a white race in ancient Greece or Rome. The Greeks and Romans had a concept of white as a color, but they didn't have a concept of white as a racial category. If you walked up to a random man on the streets of Athens in the 5th century BCE and asked him, "Are you white?" It would probably make about as much sense to him as if you asked him, "Are you olive?" Furthermore, as strange as it may seem to us, the ancient Greeks and Romans often associated skin color less with race and more with gender, because in those times it was darker skin was associated with men and paler skin was associated with women, because men were expected to work outside and get tanned, and women were expected to remain indoors and remain pale. And so Greek and Roman artists actually sometimes use skin color as an artistic convention to demarcate gender, as strange as this may sound. So if you look, for instance, at frescoes from Roman frescoes from the city of Pompeii, in the vast majority of them, the men are portrayed as very dark-skinned and tanned, while the women are portrayed as very pale and white. And this isn't because the men and women are supposed to be of different races, but rather because that's an artistic convention that the artists use to indicate gender. Furthermore, it's important to note that even in the United States, conceptions of race have changed over time. So for instance, even 100 years ago, many Anglo-Americans didn't consider Greek and Italian immigrants to be fully white. A lot of times, Greek and Italian immigrants were referred to by very hateful ethnic slurs, which I won't repeat here. And they were sometimes targeted by racial violence. So for instance, one of the largest mass lynchings in United States history was a lynching of 11 Italian men